Stay quiet, everything will unfold naturally for you. Dear friends and fellow dreamers, today I want to discuss something simple yet profound: the strength of silence. We live in a world that constantly demands our focus, where everyone is in a hurry, shouting, and attempting to make their voices heard. We are often told that in order to succeed, we must be loud, visible, and always in motion. But what if I told you that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop and simply stay silent? Silence does not imply giving up, retreating, or being passive. Instead, it's a state of being present in the moment, free of unnecessary distractions. Silence is where you listen to yourself, the world around you, and the wisdom that resides within. In this stillness, you find clarity and peace. You come to understand that not everything in life needs to be forced, and not every door needs to be violently opened. Sometimes, the right opportunities arrive when you allow yourself to be still. We often struggle with the belief that we must push harder, hustle more, and prove our worth. But life has a curious way of working out when you stop chasing, when you stop fighting with everything you've got. You create space for the universe to align things in your favor. In silence, you begin to see the signs. You discover your own strength, realizing that you don't need to constantly shout your dreams from the rooftops for them to come true. Sometimes all you need to do is trust in the journey and have faith that things will unfold when the time is right. You see, life has a rhythm, and when we are always on the go, we miss it. The beauty, the lessons, the opportunities that are already there, waiting for us to notice. When you remain silent, everything flows to you naturally and effortlessly. So, my friends, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by the noise, remember this: the most powerful thing you can do is embrace silence. Let things come to you in their own time. Trust that the universe, your life, your destiny, will unfold exactly as it should. And when it does, you realize that everything you've ever needed has always been there, quietly waiting for you to notice. Silence is often misunderstood in today's world, where noise is ever present. The world is in a constant state of motion, a never-ending cycle of noise, demands, and distractions. We are surrounded by a cacophony of voices, both external and internal, pulling us in every direction. People are always talking, sharing, promoting, selling. The media is constantly flooding our minds with information, opinions, and advertisements. Rarely do we experience moments of calm, of stillness, just to exist. In such an environment, silence is often viewed as something negative, something to avoid, or something that signifies inactivity and weakness. But in reality, silence is anything but passive. It is an active, powerful state that allows you to connect with yourself and the world in ways that constant noise and distraction never can. When we talk about silence being powerful, we mean a silence that comes not from withdrawing from life, but from engaging with it on a deeper, more meaningful level. This kind of silence isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about being so fully present in the moment that everything else fades away. It's about learning to listen to the quiet voice inside you, to the people around you, and to the world at large. Being silent doesn't mean you're disengaging or surrendering to passivity, quite the opposite. It's an active choice to step out of the whirlwind of distractions and focus inward. It's a powerful act of self-awareness and self-consciousness in a world that is constantly demanding more from us, more noise, more opinions, more action. Taking the time to be silent is revolutionary. It requires strength, courage, and the ability to resist the external pressures to be constantly busy. Think about moments when you found yourself in silence, when you stepped away from the noise, the hustle, and the chaos of life. In those moments, did you find clarity? Did you realize something about yourself that you hadn't noticed before? Perhaps it was a deeper understanding of your values, your goals, or your purpose. Maybe you were able to connect with someone in a way that felt more genuine, more real, because you were truly listening without the distraction of your own thoughts or the noise around you. Silence creates space for these realizations to occur. Without it, there's no room for introspection, for true understanding. When we allow ourselves to be still and silent, we begin to recognize our own inner strength. In the absence of constant stimulation, we can hear the quiet wisdom that resides within us. We start to see things more clearly, without the distortion of external voices and distractions. In silence, we learn to trust our intuition, to hear the quiet voice that guides us on our journey. This is not the silence of fear or withdrawal, but the silence of empowerment. It's in this silence that we tap into the power of our own presence. We are reminded that we are enough, just as we are, without needing to fill every moment with noise or every conversation with words. Another powerful aspect of silence is its ability to help us listen. Listening is an active skill, one that is often drowned out by the noise around us. We tend to listen with the intention of responding, offering our own opinion, or inserting ourselves into the conversation. But true listening, listening with an open heart and an open mind, requires us to be silent first. It requires us to hold back our own thoughts and judgments for a moment and simply absorb what is being said. It is in this kind of listening that we form deeper connections with others, because we are not just hearing their words, we are hearing their hearts, their emotions, their needs. Silence also allows us to connect with the world on a deeper level. When we are always rushing from one thing to the next, we miss the subtle beauty that surrounds us. We miss the quiet moments, the soft rustling of leaves in the wind, the distant sound of birds singing, the stillness of early morning or late evening. These are the moments that offer us peace, that remind us of the simple beauty of life. In silence, we are able to hear these subtle sounds and feel the presence of the world in a way that is impossible when we are distracted by the noise of daily life. Silence connects us to the present moment, helping us to appreciate the richness of life as it unfolds. Some people believe that silence is uncomfortable, that it feels awkward or unnatural. This belief often comes from the fear of being alone with our thoughts. In a world that constantly fills our minds with information, we are rarely encouraged to simply exist. But it is in those moments of silence that we truly get to know ourselves. We confront our fears, our insecurities, and our desires. We learn to sit with discomfort, to be okay with not having all the answers. Silence teaches us that we don't need to constantly be doing something to feel valuable. Just being present in silence is enough. It also brings us closer to others. In a world where communication is often loud and fragmented, it's easy to forget that the most meaningful connections often happen in the quietest moments. Think about times when you've shared a meaningful experience with someone. Perhaps it was sitting in silence together without the need for words. Maybe you were watching a sunset, sharing a peaceful moment, or simply being in each other's presence. These moments, though silent, carry a depth and significance that words can't always capture. Silence has the power to connect us to others on a deeper, more authentic level, because it removes the need for validation through words or performance. In silence, we are simply together, and sometimes that is enough. In a sense, silence is also a form of resistance. In a world that demands constant productivity, constant noise, and constant engagement, choosing silence is a rejection of these societal pressures. It's a declaration that we don't have to be constantly busy to be valuable. We don't have to fill every moment with activity or sound. Silence allows us to reclaim our time, to slow down, and to prioritize what truly matters. In a sense, it's a form of self-care, a conscious decision to protect our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Silence is also healing. Often, when we are in pain or facing difficult emotions, we try to distract ourselves with noise. But silence, stillness, gives us the space to heal, to reflect, and to grow. Stay quiet. Everything will unfold naturally for you. Silence does not signify giving up, nor does it mean retreating or being passive. Silence is a state of being fully present in the moment, free from unnecessary distractions. In silence, you listen to yourself, to the world around you, and to the wisdom that resides within. Here, you gain clarity and peace. You begin to realize that not every aspect of life requires force, and not every door needs to be forcibly opened. Sometimes, the best opportunities arrive when you allow yourself to remain still. We often struggle with the belief that we must push harder, hustle more, and prove our worth. But life has a unique way of working itself out when you cease chasing and fighting with everything you've got. By stopping this constant struggle, you create space for the universe to align circumstances in your favor. In silence, you begin to see the signs clearly. You discover your own strength and realize that you do not need to constantly announce your dreams to the world for them to manifest. Sometimes, all you need to do is trust the journey, knowing that things will unfold at the right moment. Life has a natural rhythm, and when we're constantly rushing, we miss out on its beauty, its lessons, and the opportunities already waiting for us. In silence, everything arrives to you effortlessly. So, my friends, the next time you get swept up in the noise, remember this. The most powerful thing you can do is embrace silence. Allow things to come to you in their own time, trusting that your life, your universe, and your destiny will unfold just as they should. And when they do, you will realize that everything you ever needed was always there in the stillness, waiting for you to notice. Silence is often misunderstood in today's world where noise constantly surrounds us. The world seems to be in a perpetual state of movement, an endless cycle of noise, demands, and distractions. We're surrounded by a symphony of voices, both external and internal, that pull us in all directions. People are always speaking, sharing, promoting, and selling, while the media continuously floods our minds with opinions, information, and advertisements. A moment of calm and stillness is hard to come by. In such an environment, silence is often viewed as negative, something to avoid or that indicates inactivity and weakness. But in truth, silence is anything but passive. It is a potent and active state that allows you to connect with yourself and the world in a way that constant noise and distraction never could. When we speak of silence being powerful, we refer to a silence that doesn't come from retreating from life, but from engaging with it on a much deeper, more meaningful level. This form of silence isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about being so present that everything else fades into the background. It's about learning to listen to the quiet voice within you, to the people around you, and to the world at large. Being silent does not mean disengaging or submitting to passivity. On the contrary, it's an active choice to step away from the whirlwind of distractions and focus inward, becoming attuned to what truly matters. Silence is a powerful act of self-awareness and self-control, especially in a world that constantly demands more from us, more noise, more opinions, more action. Taking the time to be silent is revolutionary, requiring strength, courage, and the ability to resist external pressures. Think of moments when you found yourself in silence, stepping away from the noise, the hustle, and the chaos of life. In those moments, did you gain clarity? Did you understand something about yourself that you hadn't noticed before? Perhaps it was a deeper understanding of your values, goals, or purpose. Maybe you connected with someone in a way that felt more authentic and real because you were truly listening without the distraction of your own thoughts or the noise around you. Silence creates space for these kinds of realizations, and without it, there's no room for introspection or true understanding. When we allow ourselves to be still and silent, we begin to recognize our inner strength. In the absence of constant stimulation, we hear the quiet wisdom that resides within us. We start to see things with more clarity, free from the distortion of external voices and distractions. It is in silence that we learn to trust our intuition, to hear the subtle voice that guides us on our journey. This is not the silence of fear or retreat, but the silence of empowerment. In this silence, we tap into the power of our own presence, reminding ourselves that we are enough just as we are, without the need to fill every moment with noise or every conversation with words. Another powerful aspect of silence is its ability to help us listen. Listening is an active skill, one that is often drowned out by the noise around us. We usually listen with the intent to respond, to share our own opinion, or to insert ourselves into the conversation. But true listening with an open heart and an open mind, requires silence first. It requires us to hold back our thoughts and judgments for a moment, simply absorbing what is being said. It is in this form of listening that we form deeper connections with others, not merely hearing their words, but understanding their hearts, their emotions, and their needs. Silence also allows us to connect with the world in a deeper way. When we are constantly rushing from one task to the next, we miss the subtle beauty surrounding us. We miss the soft rustling of leaves in the wind, the distant sound of birds singing, the stillness of early morning or late evening. These moments offer peace and remind us of life's simple beauty. In silence, we hear these subtle sounds and feel the world's presence in a way that's impossible when distracted by the noise of daily life. Silence helps us appreciate the richness of life as it unfolds. Some people find silence uncomfortable, awkward, or unnatural. This belief often stems from the fear of being alone with our thoughts. In a world that constantly fills our minds with information, we are rarely encouraged to simply be. Yet it is in these moments of silence that we truly get to know ourselves. We confront our fears, insecurities, and desires, learning to sit with discomfort and to accept not having all the answers. Silence teaches us that we don't need to be constantly doing something to feel valuable. Just being present in silence is enough. Silence also brings us closer to others. In a world where communication is often loud and fragmented, it's easy to forget that the most meaningful connections often occur in the quietest moments. Think about the times when you've shared an experience with someone, perhaps sitting in silence together without the need for words. Maybe you were watching a sunset, sharing a peaceful moment, or simply being in each other's presence. These silent moments carry a depth and significance that words cannot always express. Silence has the power to connect us to others in a more authentic way because it removes the need for validation through words or performance. In silence, we are simply together, and sometimes that is enough. In a sense, silence is also a form of resistance. In a world that demands constant productivity, noise, and engagement, choosing silence is a rejection of societal pressures. It declares that we don't need to be constantly busy to be valuable. We don't have to fill every moment with activity or sound. Silence allows us to reclaim our time, to slow down, and prioritize what truly matters. In this sense, it is a form of self-care, a conscious decision to protect our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Another dimension of silence's power is its ability to heal. When facing pain or difficult emotions, we often try to distract ourselves with noise. But when we stop pushing so hard, we become more receptive to what is meant for us. One challenge in stopping the chase is overcoming the fear that if we don't constantly pursue something, we might miss out or fall behind. We live in a culture that celebrates constant activity, and it can feel as though we're doing something wrong if we're not always on the move. But the truth is, life isn't a race. There's no deadline we need to meet, no timeline for happiness or success. Each journey is unique. By letting go of the need to chase after what we think we should have by a certain point in life, we free ourselves to follow our own rhythm. When we stop chasing, we also learn to appreciate the present moment. Chasing implies always focusing on the future, always thinking about what's next. But the present moment is where life truly happens. It's easy to overlook the beauty of what we already have while pursuing what we think we need. By allowing life to unfold naturally, we shift our focus from distant goals to the richness of the here and now. We begin to notice the small moments, the everyday experiences that make up our lives. And in doing so, cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for what is already present. Letting life unfold in its own time teaches us patience. Patience is often considered a virtue, but in a world that prioritizes speed and immediate gratification, it can sometimes feel like a forgotten skill. Yet, when we learn to trust the natural flow of life, we begin to understand that certain things cannot be hurried. Growth, healing, success, and even love all demand time. Just as a tree takes time to grow, our dreams also require the right environment, proper care, and space to develop at their own pace. Forcing things to fit into our personal timelines can sometimes do more harm than good. Allowing life to unfold naturally grants us the gift of patience and trust in the process. Letting go of the constant pursuit also allows us to reflect on the motivations behind our desires. When we endlessly chase after something, we often fail to fully understand the deeper reasons driving us. Are we striving for success because it will genuinely bring us fulfillment? Or is it because society has conditioned us to believe that success determines our worth? Are we seeking a relationship because we truly crave connection? Or are we running from the fear of loneliness? Stepping back from the chase gives us the clarity to assess whether our desires align with our true, authentic selves. In these quiet moments of reflection, we often discover that what we are seeking is not necessarily what we genuinely need. Another powerful aspect of allowing life to take its course is that it nurtures trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in the process, and trust in the greater forces at play. Releasing the need to constantly control every detail of our lives allows us to recognize that we do not need to have all the answers. Letting go of the obsession with certainty and perfection enables us to embrace the unknown with faith that we are being guided toward what is meant for us. This level of trust is freeing. It helps us loosen our grip on outcomes and allows us to accept things as they come. In doing so, we cultivate a profound sense of peace and acceptance. When we stop constantly chasing, we also free ourselves from the paralyzing fear of failure. The pressure to succeed can be overwhelming, but stepping back removes the weight of expectation. We start to see that life is not merely about reaching a final destination, but about being present in the journey itself. Whether or not we accomplish a specific goal, we come to understand that each experience holds value and contributes to our growth. The more we surrender to life's natural unfolding, the more we see that things come to us when we are truly ready for them. Whether it is a career opportunity, a relationship, or a new adventure, we naturally attract what aligns with our true selves when we stop forcing outcomes and instead create space for them to arrive effortlessly. Trusting the journey of life is one of the most challenging yet liberating choices we can make. From a young age, we are taught to plan, to structure, and to maintain control as much as possible. Society encourages us to set goals, follow rigid paths, and work relentlessly to ensure everything happens according to a predetermined plan. However, life often unfolds in unpredictable ways, reminding us that control is not always within our grasp. At times, it may feel as though we are lost, uncertain about our next steps. In these moments, the greatest act of self-compassion is to trust the process and surrender to the rhythm of life. Life does not adhere to a strict schedule, nor do we always know where the road ahead will lead. This uncertainty can be unsettling, making us resistant to change or tempted to force events to unfold according to our expectations. Yet the truth is that life has its own pace, its own sequence, and its own timing. We cannot dictate every detail, but we can control how we respond to the circumstances before us. Learning to trust the journey means embracing the unknown rather than resisting it, allowing life to guide us instead of constantly trying to push against its current. This does not mean sitting idly by, waiting for things to magically fall into place. Trusting the process is about recognizing what is beyond our control and choosing to move with life's rhythm rather than fighting against it. We learn to navigate change, adapt to unexpected turns, and find meaning in every stage of the journey. When we embrace this perspective, we start to notice how life aligns in ways we never anticipated. Opportunities often arise when we least expect them, and challenges appear precisely when we need to grow, even if their purpose is not immediately clear. Life's rhythm is not always smooth or predictable. There are times when everything flows effortlessly and other times when we feel overwhelmed or stuck. These fluctuations are a natural part of existence. When we resist the ebb and flow, we often feel frustrated or disheartened. However, when we surrender to life's rhythm, we begin to see that every phase, both the peaceful and the turbulent, the quiet moments are just as valuable as the challenging ones, as they both shape us into stronger, wiser, and more resilient individuals. Trusting the journey also means allowing ourselves the space to grow at our own unique pace. In a world that glorifies speed and instant success, it is easy to feel as though we are falling behind if things are not happening as quickly as we had hoped. We compare our progress to others, measuring ourselves against their achievements, and sometimes question whether we are doing enough. However, growth is a deeply personal process that does not follow a strict timeline. Each of us moves forward at our own pace, and trusting the journey means accepting that our timing does not have to match anyone else's. There is no need to rush or force things. By trusting that we are exactly where we are meant to be, we liberate ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations. When we fully trust life's unfolding, we also open ourselves up to new experiences. Instead of rigidly clinging to a specific vision of how our lives should be, we become more receptive to the possibilities that present themselves. Trusting the process encourages us to take risks, embrace the unknown, and believe that we are always being led in the right direction. This openness fuels our personal evolution, leading us to unexpected opportunities, meaningful connections, and invaluable lessons. Often the most profound realizations come in moments of uncertainty, reminding us that even when we feel lost, we are still moving forward. There is an undeniable sense of peace that accompanies trusting the journey. Life may appear chaotic at times, but when we trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, we no longer feel the need to micromanage every outcome. We let go of the fear of the unknown, releasing the compulsion to have all the answers. Instead, we learn to exist fully in the present moment, understanding that we do not need to have everything figured out immediately. Life is a continuous series of steps, each leading us closer to where we need to be. Embracing the rhythm of life teaches us the value of patience. It is natural to feel frustration when things do not progress as quickly as we desire, but patience is essential to trusting the process. Growth, transformation, and success all take time. Trusting life's journey means understanding that what we seek is worth waiting for. The effort we put in today, even if the results are not immediately visible, is building the foundation for our future. Through this lens, we learn to be patient, not only with ourselves, but also with others and with life itself. In moments of uncertainty, trusting the process gives us the courage to keep moving forward. We may not always know what lies ahead, but we can have faith that each small step is leading us exactly where we are meant to be. Life's rhythm is always in motion, and by trusting in it, we connect with a deeper sense of purpose. Even when the path appears unclear, we remind ourselves that every twist, every turn, and every challenge is part of a greater story. Though we may not always see the full picture, we trust that we are being guided and that everything is happening for our highest growth. By embracing life's natural rhythm, we find peace in knowing that we are always exactly where we need to be. We acknowledge that the journey itself holds the answers and that we do not need to have everything figured out in advance. Trusting the journey means living in the flow, being open to what comes, and understanding that, in the end, we are always on the right path. In our fast-paced world, patience often feels like a rare and undervalued virtue. We live in an era where immediate gratification is not just desired but expected, from instant messaging to rapid delivery services. Everything is available at the push of a button. We are conditioned to believe that things should happen quickly and without delay. However, one of the most significant lessons we can learn is that patience and faith in the process are powerful forces in our lives, and they have the ability to bring us everything we need, but only at the right time. Patience does not simply mean waiting. It is not about enduring a difficult situation or putting life on pause while we wait for something to change. True patience is an active practice. It is the ability to remain grounded and peaceful as things unfold at their own pace. It is trusting that everything has its own time and that rushing or forcing things will not lead to better outcomes. Patience is a sign of confidence in the process. The understanding that there are natural rhythms and cycles in life that cannot be rushed. Things happen when they are meant to, and trying to speed things up can result in unnecessary stress, missed opportunities, or the disappointment of unripe fruit. Having faith in the process means trusting that life is unfolding exactly as it should, even when we cannot always see the whole picture. We often spend a lot of energy worrying about how things will turn out, or whether we are taking the right steps toward our goals. Yet, faith in the process teaches us that despite the uncertainty, everything we are experiencing is part of a larger plan. We may not have all the answers, but we can trust that what we need will come to us when the time is right. The work we put in, the lessons we learn along the way, and the challenges we face all contribute to our growth and development, whether we realize it in the moment or not. It is easy to get discouraged when we feel like things are not moving fast enough or when we do not see immediate results. We live in a world that celebrates instant success and quick wins, and the idea of patience being a path to success can sometimes seem counterintuitive. However, history is filled with examples of people who achieved great things because they were willing to wait, trust, and remain patient throughout the process. The most profound achievements in life often come after long periods of hard work, dedication, and yes, patience. The journey itself prepares us for the reward, shaping us into the person we need to become before we can fully appreciate the fruits of our labor. Faith in the process does not mean we stop working toward our goals. It does not mean we should become passive or complacent. Patience, when combined with effort and persistence, can move mountains. It is about trusting that every step we take, no matter how small, is bringing us closer to our destination. Sometimes we may not see immediate progress, and that can be frustrating. But true faith is the belief that every experience, whether it seems positive or negative at the time, is shaping us, building our resilience, and preparing us for what lies ahead. This process is often like planting seeds. When we plant a seed, we do not expect it to sprout and grow overnight. It takes time, nurturing, and care. We trust that in due time, the seed will grow into something beautiful and meaningful. Similarly, our dreams and goals require time to take root. At times, the waiting can feel difficult, and it may seem as though nothing is happening. But in reality, growth is occurring beneath the surface. The soil is being prepared, the roots are forming, and when the time is right, the plant will rise above the soil and flourish. Trusting the process means understanding that our efforts are not in vain, even when we cannot see immediate results. When we have patience, we also allow ourselves to be more open to the lessons that life has to offer. Often we get so focused on the outcome that we forget to pay attention to the journey. Yet it is the journey where the most important lessons are learned. It is where we build character, develop resilience, and gain wisdom. When we trust the process, we are able to step back and view our experiences with perspective. Even setbacks and challenges become opportunities for growth, rather than obstacles in our way. Through patience, we learn to accept and appreciate the journey for what it is, not just for the end result we are striving toward. Patience and faith in the process also require us to let go of the need for control. We all have our own ideas of how life should unfold, and it's natural to want to make things happen according to our plans. However, no matter how carefully we design our path, there will always be unforeseen circumstances that arise. Life's unpredictability is part of what makes it beautiful, and learning to flow with it rather than fighting against it is key to developing patience. When we trust the process, we surrender the need to control every aspect of our lives. Instead of trying to force outcomes, we allow life to unfold according to its own timing, knowing that what is meant for us will come to us in the right way and at the right moment. It is also important to recognize that patience does not only apply to our own goals and desires. It extends to how we relate to others. Relationships take time to grow and develop, and sometimes we can be impatient with others' progress or with the pace of change in our relationships. Whether it's waiting for someone to understand something or allowing others the space to grow, patience with those around us fosters deeper, more meaningful connections. By having faith in the process, we allow others the time they need to grow and evolve, just as we are learning to do. Patience and faith in the process are about trust. Trust that life has its own timing and that everything is unfolding for our highest good, even when we cannot see how.